Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is breakdown day. That means I'm gonna open up a project in FLStudio and I'm gonna show you how I did this young chop type beat. It's called GBE business. So I'm gonna break it down first, and then you can hear the finished product and everything. I'm gonna let you hear it by pattern. I'm gonna quickly open up the project. So let's start with pattern number one. Pattern number one obviously is a kick pattern. Let me open up all the different patterns. This is pattern number one. This is the kick. I have my kick on channel 1. It's a pretty standard kick, but it beats pretty heavy, so that's what you want, you know. Everything is on C5. Typical. And then I have pattern number 2, which is the first 808 pattern, which is super low. If you don't have proper speakers like I have on my MacBook right now, you can barely even hear it. But if you turn up your proper speakers, then you'll hear for sure. And I have my 808 on pattern number 2, on channel number 2. This is how I EQ'd it to really bring out the high end and the low end too. Cut everything else out. Pattern number 3 is the second kick pattern, to switch it up a little bit. This is the second part of the hook as well. So this is the second 808 pattern. As you see, it varies more. And there's way more excursion as well from the lowest to the highest note, that it gives you that real bumpy feeling. This is the third kick pattern. As you see, it accelerates here. This is where it hits the snare as well. It's typical. I actually thought that it was absolutely against any law, sound engineering or whatever, but then I listened to, well, house music, disco music and everything, and there's always pretty much a kick and a snare. I always thought that they never had to coincide, but the thing with young chop beats is pretty much they always do, and that's one of his trademarks as well. So that's right here. This is where the kick and the snare actually coincide. You never stop learning. Motherfuckers be coming out with different shit every day. And this is the third and final 808 pattern, if I recall correctly. Nah, this is the snare, the typical Chief Keef snare, trademark of Young Chop as well. It's pretty much in every, this snare is actually what helped made the Chief Keef sound, you know. Every time you hear this snare, it's pretty much the old Chirac, and you can just understand and just go out right ahead and imagine that it was produced by Young Chop, and you can already hear little Reese or whatever, Fredo or whatever, SD and all the other GBE guys ripping this shit apart. This is another snare that I used to layer to make it a little more poppy. Typical Lex snare. As you see, you can barely hear it because I really EQ'd everything pretty low, because this is like the backup snare, whereas the Chief Keef snare was the main one, and as you see, it's the volume is higher as well. And this is how I EQ'd it. I boosted the the upper mid a little bit, and this part is where the actual snare hits. There. Now let's go to pattern number. This is where the melody starts, so there's all the brass and everything. This is the main brass pattern. It's pretty low actually, as you can see, E3 and G3, but it sounds pretty good, I think. Pretty repetitive, but it works. Now this is like a, I called it low growly synth. Where the fuck is that at? Where's that? Here it is. It's pretty much the same pattern as the brass, but I use Nexus, this dead faster that I found in an expansion that I don't really remember, but it's a good expansion from Nexus. Might sound stupid, but you know, getting the proper sounds is absolutely key to having a good beat. This is the higher synth. Again, the notes are pretty much the same, but it's just this time it's E6, so that it gives you that high end a little more and it fills up the whole melody on top. Bells. This is another thing that Young Chop utilizes a lot, and it's bells. Once again, you see E6, G6, but I switched it up a little more by chopping it, and then it varies a little more, as you can see here. The hi-hats, obviously you need the hi-hats. Chopped up, speeding up, and then slowing down, and then changing up to make everything more interesting. This is another thing, the chop snares. There's a lot, whenever you hear a Young Chop type beat, there's a lot of snappy sounds. You can definitely tell that there's a lot of snares, a lot of toms, a lot of hi-hats going on in the background, and so this is actually something that you need to do as well. You can either use whatever snare you like, or the typical Chief Keef snare, or whatever kind of snare. But just you need those fillers in the background and those poppy sounds, and it sounds good as well. So you just chop this up. To chop this up, you just go to Alt U, and then you get the multiplier, and you can chop it up as however you want. If you want to see how it's done, just check my other trap beat from scratch, and you'll see there. Now we can close this now. The bells, tubular bells. This is just a hit at the beginning. Once again, you see it's in E4, so pretty much everything is on E and G. What was this? Just the bell here on A to make it sound kind of like this. There. These are the strings. Another very important thing. This is how I EQ the strings. Another string pattern. This is actually the one that closes the hook. Another string pattern. This one is actually sounds super nice to me. And it's actually kind of like a build from the end of the verse to the hook. Chance. Perks, obviously. You gotta have those perks to switch it up more. And once again, those choppy sounds, and make the beat like faster and get the listener more into it, you know. Rides, crashes, whatever they're called. And that's it. That's pretty much the end of the beat. So I'm gonna let y'all hear it once again. And this beat is available for lease for $7.99 or 10 or something. I don't really remember, on my SoundClick. So if y'all like it, just check it out. Thanks for watching. Out.